Fighting drugs in the society is a tough war, and the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, is feeling the heat. The NDLEA chairman, retired Brigadier General Buba Marwa, said drug barons are killing operatives of the agency for vengeance in the fight against drug trafficking in the country. Appearing before the House of Representatives Committee on Drugs and Narcotics to defend the agency's 2022 budget performance and 2023 proposal, Marwa advocated provision of barracks for the operatives to save their lives. He said the NDLEA has acquired land in Adamawa, Abuja, and Lagos for the purpose. Dari. Nigeria currently has an alarming drug status, where the number of active users of cannabis sativa alone is about 10.6 million. Huge.
Yeah, and then we must quickly add that since the coming of General Buba Marwa, we are beginning to put a face to the war against drug in Nigeria. Before now, it was as if we actually don't have a structure or a system to fight that menace. And growing up, we knew people smoke hemp. But we don't see people smoke hemp. We just know people they call amugbo in dying. But we don't see them smoke because they had to go into the bush. And that's why the substance got the Yoruba name, Igbo. Because it's not done in the open. It's done in the bush. In the forest, if possible. But today, people are almost smoking Indian hemp on public buses. If you pass through Oshodi, the rail line, especially in broad daylight, you find these guys with their wraps of Indian hemp. You go to some relaxation spots. It's a public thing. And then it is discussed online as if it's no big deal. And then you look at our stars, musical idols, so to speak, singing, praise singing, Indian hemp smoking, drug addiction. That's how low we are when it comes to the issue of drugs in Nigeria. Now we have somebody who feels we can turn this table around. I think we should, to start with, just give him all the needed support, because it's becoming a danger. Of recent, in NDLEA officials have made a point of duty to do stop and search. And I have noticed that when I drive out of my community to the main road, almost on a daily basis, you find them stopping vehicles, private, public, bikes and keke marwas. I have noticed that there is hardly a time they single out somebody, say, come, and they search the person, they'll find something. I also moved that I had to stop one day to ask them, is there a way you identify this? They said, this thing has become such a menace that it is easy to know who smokes and who uses drugs in Nigeria. He said, if you look at their eye, the lips, the nails of these young ones, if it's Colorado is taken, you will know. If it's Indian hemp, you will know. As the day they stopped the lady, and then they searched that, they found all these banned tablets, all these, what's their name again? So about 4 or 5 packs on her. And I had, they said, just a look at her face, they knew she just took it. So that's the extent to which they are going. So I feel the best we can do is support this agency in the interest of Nigerians. That's the best.
All right, Adewale, in the midst of this war, is provision of barracks the way to protect the lives and citizens, the lives of these operators?
Well, I think, first of all, we need to understand the problem we are facing. And now, this drug issue is a threat to the survival of every one of us. And if you look at other countries that are facing the same problem, countries like Mexico, we are almost heading towards a stateless society where drug barons have become institutions. funding rebellious organizations, buying arms to confront the state. So we need to appreciate that this is a very dangerous trend that can lead to the collapse of any country. So whatever that we need to do to support the NDLA, I think we need to do it as a country. Marwa, since he came in, has brought a new life to NDLA. In the past 6 months, I think from January to July, they arrested more than almost 90,000 people have been arrested. We never had it so good, in the fight against narcotics. And out of this, we have 17,444 who are men and 1,496 who are female. So it means that majority of those that are involved in this deal are men. And I think they also arrested 12 drug barons. Those barons are the big time, who are billionaires. They have hotels, they have chains of businesses. So for the first time in recent memory, we have someone who is courageous enough to go after those barons. Because in the past, we arrest those drug users and all that without going against them. And he also said something very important, that the NDLEA is using immigration data to track, drug barons all over the world. Some of them are not in Nigeria. They are in Peru, Colombia, Mexico, Paraguay, Brazil, who are Nigerians. They are there living there and sending, their agents all over the world.
So talking about... please go ahead.
So I think we need to commend him. And since they are killing their operatives, providing barracks for them, I think it's one mayor, that the government needs to do.
All right, before we move on, let's take Ade from London. Hello, Ade, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
I want to say thank you to Mr. Adeoye. He really reasoned with the Nigerian people. My advice to ASU is this. They should go on indefinite strike from tomorrow. Let the lecturers sit down in their class and not go. If you are at work and you didn't get paid for 8 months, you know the feeling. As a journalist, the deputy editor, does it mean he has to be in office to do editor job? No. He has to go in the field, collect information. So why should they punish the lecturers for the 8 months? Adeoye, God bless you. How can anybody must not justify and be Ngege must go?
Thank you very much,
Ade. Destroying the future of our children, Ngege must go.
Thank you for your contribution. Now, talking about support,
I just hope lecturers won't listen to him. Yes,
talking about support, concerned Nigerians have asked that the NDLEA gets revitalized and well-funded.
Yeah, well, I think, to use the word revitalized, yes, the organization is already getting revitalized by the dint of hard work of General Marwa. His track records already show what he can do. And if we give him more support to further do this, it's in the best of our interest. Because if you look at what he is doing, he has gone beyond nabbing the users. Not too long ago, a location was busted in Ikorodu, and this is a place we pass. I know the place very well. It's on Azumi. You can't imagine such a thing is going on behind the walls. It simply means that Marwa and his men are making good use of intelligence. Because these things have been there all this while. Look at the billionaire drug baron they just nabbed weeks back. These fellows have been involved in this all along. So it simply means that he is doing a good job, making good use of intelligence. I'm talking about barracks for the men. I hope we need to do more. It's a good idea. But we should do more because these men are not working at home. They go out on the field. They go to meet the suspects all over the country. So if they are working and we are getting results, we should encourage them. How? The best way we can encourage them is to give them that feeling of security.
And there is the issue of poor funding.
That's exactly what I'm saying. We must give them, if there is no fund, you can't secure the lives of these operatives. Are they well secured? When I talk about that, gadgets, equipment that will make them less prone to being killed. Are they funded well enough to carry out their assignments with less stress and more ease? We must consider the ease of working for them. We must consider better ways of ensuring that they can withstand the pressure that comes with running after criminals. It is essential.
All right, Adewale, is there a nexus between terrorism, drug trafficking, kidnapping, and money laundering?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Rebellious movements all over the world also are involved in drug. As a you know, in what they say in radical movement, revolution, there is no dirty money. You know, if you pick money on top of faces, it does not stink. You know, so in Afghanistan, for instance, 90% of heroin, cocaine all over the world, you know, traced to Afghanistan. Because the rebellion movement think that, you know, look, anywhere we can get more money, it does not matter. So there's a link between terrorism and drug abuse. And if you see some of these people that have been arrested, terrorist groups and all that, you know, sometimes they act motivated by drugs. You know, when they act, you know, putting a bomb on yourself and all that, it's not ordinary. So there's a link between them that has been established all over the world that terrorist organizations are also involved in, you know, drug, cartel. So it's in our own interest to curb this menace before it is too late.
All right, let's take Edward calling from Akure. Good afternoon, Edward.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Hello?
Good afternoon to you. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah. Well, my contribution is this. Sorry, it is concerning the... Hello?
Please go ahead, Edward.
Concerning the strike. You see, we should know that it is not the lecturers that is having the problem of salary. Also, there are some other units under federal government. Are you listening to me?
Yes, I'm listening.
Yes. So if we say lecturers should continue with the strike, what of the primary school teachers? What of the secondary school teachers? What of the doctors? Is there any place where they are comfortable with their salaries?
All right.
They are just disturbing the students.
Thank you very much,
What
Edward.
is their gain?
Thank you for your contribution. Gentlemen, the NDLEA has rehabilitated over 11,000 drug users, arrested 10 drug bearers between 2021-2022. And analysts have called for this attention to shift to the big guns, the bearers, the traffickers, and the financiers, because these are the major issues.
Yeah, the major issues. And that's, in my opinion, that's what NDLEA is doing now. If we support them more, they will do more. I am particularly impressed with the aspect of rehabilitation. It's not enough to just arrest people, send them to jail. There are ways you can let them understand that, look, you can live without this thing. And I think they're doing that, and it's good.
Right.
So going after the big guns is not a child's play. And that's why the man is coming out to say, we need more support. The idea of barrack is just one way of telling you how much support they need. Not just accommodation for the men. The agency is poorly funded. We need to do more. The issue of drug is a serious problem now, and we must pay attention to it. Because it is one thing that can lead to the collapse of our society. So there is nothing we do about it that is too much. Societies that have toyed with drugs in the past paid for it, and today they are struggling. There are communities and societies in Mexico, in Colombia, that today will do anything to fight drug because they already understand the impact, the implication beyond this thing we are talking about, to the extent of international image and other things. So if we have a man that is willing to take the bull by the horn, let's support him.
All right, so that brings me to the question, can the NDLEA really fight this alone?
The NDLEA cannot fight the barons or drug users alone. It's a collective effort. But the NDLEA needs to be the pathfinder It needs to give the society that moral way. It needs to show the society that it has an institution that's ready to give them support. I think that's exactly what Marwa has done. The schools, the secondary schools, these days you see even secondary school students, using drug, tramadol and all that. It's not only restricted to the streets alone. Our parents, the state governments, the family system, we need to work together in order to make sure that drug use becomes a thing of the past. We don't produce drugs in Nigeria. We consume. And that is even more dangerous. Because we are talking about almost 10 million users of drugs. So if this continues, you are going to see more of violence. Domestic violence. You are going to see many people that are going to have psychological problems. You are going to see a lot of impact on our health system. So, and it could lead to, the upsurge of violent gangs. So I think we need to realize that NDLEA fighting drugs and bringing drug use to its needs is a collective responsibility to the prosperity and peace of our country.
All right, Dario, your final take on this before we go.
My final take on it is that we should see NDLEA as an agency that is on rescue mission, because the level of drug use and drug abuse in Nigeria today is worrisome. And then NDLEA should, maybe in partnership with NBC and other agencies, see what can be done about the way our music stars and other entertainers promote drug use. If NDLEA is fighting drug and the people our young ones look up to are promoting drugs, that's a society working at cross purposes. I will appeal to General Marwa to find a way in the area of engagements and sensitization of addressing this other issue. There are some sort of role models, idols to some people. And when you see a man you so much adore, flaunt Indian hemp smoking, tramadol usage, and all the likes, it's going to do more harm than good, in my candid opinion.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been a great time on the show. Thank you, Mr. Adewale Adeoye.
Thank you.